Oh, hang on. There we are. What's going on, ladies and DGents? Welcome back to the summer special of the Distinguished DGents podcast. This is the NFC Futures episode, long awaited. We are streaming live on YouTube and on X right now, even though X right now is giving me a delay. Fuck you, Elon Musk. I'm Steve Big Bucks Beta. Joining me, as always, is my co-host. It is my partner in gambling. It is Jason Money Mansmann. What is going on, Money?
Good to see you, man. Been a while. Good to be back. We are back and we are live.
Yes, sir. Cheers to you, buddy. And joining us very first time is a special guest for today's episode and going to be joining us for a later Futures episode that we'll tease later. This is our NFL Fantasy Commissioner, a.k.a. the host of the brand new podcast, Fantasy's 10 and 10. This is Commissioner Kirkland. Vatrelle, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us today on this Saturday.
Thank you, gentlemen, for having me. Hopefully you guys can hear me well right now. I'm excited to see what we got going on for the NFC Futures. And keep an eye out for that Fantasy's 10 and 10 starting in August 1st. It's football season, ladies and gents. Let's get back on it.
Let's go. Yeah, and tell you what, we're going to give you we'll give you like the first minute here. Give us a little bit of the breakdown of what your Fantasy 10 and 10 is going to be. What are you going to talk about? Give us a little bit of background info. Just tell us all what you're excited about.
Yeah, no problem. So I came up with Fantasy's 10 and 10 because 9 times out of 10 is especially during the football season, everybody works. You got full-time jobs. You're trying to keep updated on your podcast for your fantasy team, see what's going on. And it's a 30 minute to an hour long podcast. And all you need to know is who got injured this week, who's out, who do I need to start? Hence 10 and 10 getting bored. I'm going to go over the top 10 plays throughout the NFL that week and the top 10 impacts on fantasy, who you should be playing. I'm obviously going to have a couple hosts from my current 12-team league. We're 12 years deep. We've got plenty of experience going around the table. So it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a quick 10-minute flash. We're going to be running it from the preseason all the way through week 15, 16, 17, and 18 for those leagues out there that are running 18 weeks championships. And you know, I'll bring the guys on for my league when we start the podcast up, but we've got money invested in this league, so you're going to want to hear what we have to say.
Oh, yeah. We've been going at least I've been in this league since 2015, the year we graduated college. I know Mansmann's been in this longer. The top two of us, the reason we're the Distinguished D-Gents, we're the only ones up here with championships right now, so I think our opinion's going to matter more than this fucking host we got.
I don't know why. I don't know why anyone would want the opinion of a guy who hasn't made the fantasy playoffs in 10 years, but good luck to you, buddy.
Sorry,
we're rooting for you.
I made it in the first 4. Okay, we'll let these last 6. We'll let that slide. I will acknowledge that between the 3 gentlemen that are in this on this podcast right now, there are 4 championships, and I don't have any of them. But we're changing that this year.
Well, you also failed to mention how I've made the championship, and I want to say it's 4 of the last 5 or 3 of the last 4.
3 of the last 5. As a matter of fact, correct. You are the first back-to-back championship since the start of Win or Go Home. So kudos to Steve. However, I got to give kudos to Money Mansmann because he has made 4 of the last 7 championships that we've had. So plenty of experience on this table right here.
How many straight playoff appearances? 7, 8 straight playoff?
Straight playoff appearances. Some of them are questionable. You still are my arch rival.
And that will never die. With that said, though, I gotta say we're excited to hear your show. We're excited to see you take off on your podcast. We hope to join you soon. This is opening remarks. Mansmann, we're like 2 months behind. Sadly, we did not go back to back with our futures. So a lot, of course, has happened in the news, and we have some serious echo. Hopefully, we can fix that. But Mansmann, give us your opening remarks. Like, what's going on lately in the news of the NFL? Like, what's caught your eye? Or speaking of looking at the NFC, like, what's your bold predictions just before we really get into it?
Yeah, the biggest news. I mean, this has affected my fantasy team. The tragedy in Minnesota, and then Jordan Addison getting the DUI right after. That was a really tough situation, not only from a fantasy perspective, but life in general. Yeah, this is that weird time. We're sort of in the doldrums of the NFL the NFL sort of league like season. I know the Aaron Rodgers news was big when he had missed the beginning of, or I guess the OTAs, the mandatory OTAs. So that was some big news. But yeah, we're kind of in the doldrums now, which I think is sort of the best time to, there's some good numbers out there that we're going to give you, especially on the NFC side. I think there's some really nice plays. So this is kind of, if anything, this is really sort of your last chance to, I think, get the numbers before you really start to see the preseason swing. And it's crazy because it seems like the NFL news has really been down forever because we're in that like 1 to 2 month stretch after the draft where it's like there's not really much going on. The content providers are sort of begging for clicks. But if you look at it, the Hall of Fame games beginning of August, we're about like 2 weeks away from the start of football again. And that news is going to come fast and furious. So now's really the time. If you got those last minute futures bets that you want to get in before preseason starts, the injuries starts, the speculation starts, now's really the time to do it.
Very well said, Money Mansmann. Very well said. And by the way, too, one thing about the numbers is that the earlier you get them, we always preach this, but the earlier you get this, the better the odds you get. There's already been some over-under lines that have jumped from plus money to minus 110.
Yeah.
Vatrelle, give us your other opening remarks. What are you looking forward to most for this NFL season, and especially with the NFC, with the way that ended in the playoffs last season?
Honestly, and Steve, you and I kind of talked about this at the start of the podcast here, but I'm looking to see what's really going to happen in Philly, and that entire division. Realistically, with Jaden Daniels, I have a feeling a lot of fans are sleeping on his talent. I think a lot of guys are not realizing that if it wasn't for Caleb Williams' situation, Jaden Daniels would have been the number 1 overall pick. And you've got that situation with Saquon Barkley now, the situation in Dallas with their quarterback. I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen there.
Yeah, right on, dude. I can't wait either. And hopefully this damn echo goes away. I don't know whose side it's on, but I think we got to get moving here, folks. I'll give my other quick sentence real quick, and then see if muting Vatrelle works. Maybe not.
Jason, mute your mic. Let's see. We can go
Let's
around
see.
and see.
All right, I muted Jason. Damn, might be me. Maybe.
No,
maybe
I think it's Chase. Is it you, Steve? Because it's still there.
Could be. I'll switch my mic out. Or maybe not. I don't know. Now it's gone. So yeah, sorry for the technical difficulty, folks. I think we're having a mic issue on Jason's end. Jason, get that shit fixed, bro.
Yeah, sorry. I'll do my best.
Gotcha. But anyways, yeah, my opening remarks, the NFC was a lot, for me personally, it was just a lot more competitive last year than like what we've been used to in years past, especially when we had guys like Drew Brees and, I know Tom Brady he ended his career in Tampa, but we had a lot of veteran presence leave the NFC. We had Russell Wilson go to Denver. So there was a big shakeup, but it actually like remained very competitive, and a lot of teams stepped up that we really weren't expecting. The Detroit Lions, I'm not going to say they completely came out of nowhere, but they completely blew up in the last 2 years, which was very unprecedented. We got a really exciting team that actually can now stand up to the likes of the San Francisco 49ers, the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's been a lot less parity just in general. So, my opening remarks for this NFC, it's just, I hope we see more of that, and I just hope we continue to get better football out of a conference where, for the most part, it's been honestly predictable. And especially with the likes of Caleb Williams, speaking of him, not to give a spoiler, but, it's a number 1 overall rookie quarterback. We haven't seen that since Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield. So there is a lot of pressure on this kid to completely turn the bum franchise of the Chicago Bears around. So, I don't know. You're the fantasy guy. I know he was number 1 overall. Like, what have your mock drafts for Vatrelle have shown you? Like, where do you see this kid going? Do you see him being fantasy relevant? Like, what's your take?
So in Dynasty, for most Dynasty and redrafts, he's still, in terms of rookie drafts, he's still landing number 3 to number 5 on the draft boards. I'm going to be honest with you. It's a make or break for a lot of teams. I think you have to take the shot on him because he's that generational talent. However, I was having this conversation with a buddy of mine earlier this week. The problem with generational talent is we've heard the same thing about Trevor Lawrence. In terms of fantasy value, you draft him. If you're in a dynasty, you draft him, you stash him. If you're in a redraft, don't draft him or go grab him late. He may flip on late, but a lot of these rookie quarterbacks, you got to deal with rookie woes for the first 8 weeks. CJ Stroud was a phenomenal quarterback, but he was a phenomenal quarterback on the back end. The NFC doesn't play like the AFC in terms of just physicality, so he may have a little more success, but you're coming across the same rookie woes that we've seen from every other rookie quarterback in that first game, first 6 games, first 7 games.
Gotcha. Now, personally speaking, I know there's like other wide receivers. I know we got like running backs. Who's your like best non-quarterback player out there? Because for me personally, I'm looking at the likes of Rome Odunze. I'm looking at the guy who went to the New York Giants. I'm looking at Malik Neighbors. Brock Bowers looks like he could be a late pickup. Who's your number? Like if you're looking at rookie, especially in a dynasty league, who's the player you're looking at right now?
So it's actually difficult because there's a couple. It's going to be a wide receiver. It's a matter of which wide receiver. So Marvin Harrison Jr. has got the talent on, he checks every box essentially that you're looking for in a wide receiver. He could potentially be a game changer for the Arizona Cardinals. I don't have faith in Kyler Murray. I just don't have faith in Kyler Murray. It's the same thing with Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors comes with all this talent, all this upside. And, on a fantasy perspective, I 100% believe he can be that guy, not with Daniel Jones thrown to him. That's another Garrett Wilson situation. And you could easily, especially in terms of fantasy, again, I was having this conversation with a buddy earlier this week. In terms of fantasy, you could easily get caught holding the bag because I went all in on Malik Neighbors, especially for all you guys that are gambling guys, and you can play. Play your money on your fantasy teams. Malik Neighbors is not a guy that I'm putting in a starting lineup. I would say this year he's going to get 100 targets. Daniel Jones is not a good quarterback when it comes to passing. I don't have faith in that. So Xavier Worthy, in my opinion, may be more of an upside swing because of who he's throwing to. There's still a lot of mouths to feed in Kansas City, though.
Oh yeah, and especially with the drop of God, what was that? What was the dipshit's name that let the ball go through his hands from the other guy from the Giants that they ended up picking? Kadarius Toney. Yeah, that bum. You get rid of Kadarius Toney, pick up an Xavier Worthy. He might be worth a shot. It's especially with the vertical threat too, and another guy too. Like I traded Jordan Addison last year to Money Mansmann. I know he just spoke of it. We're still waiting on his return, but that's okay. But one of the concerns I had was like I knew Kirk Cousins was going to go into a free agency year this year, and I didn't know if he was going to re-sign with Minnesota. And my big concern was like the same with Justin Jefferson. First couple of years I had him, it was like I know who Kirk Cousins is, and I know what you're going to get out of him. He's a serviceable guy. But in 2 years down the line, are you going to get a Kirk Cousins, or who is it going to be? And is this now you have a J.J. McCarthy with a lot of question marks, especially coming from a Michigan team, where primarily his job was to hand the ball off and let the guy get 200 yards. Blake Corum get 200 yards a game, and then you're JJ, you throw maybe 18 times. Now you're coming into a professional NFL organization. You're going to have a lot higher of a standard, especially with the mouths of Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinshaw. There's going to be a lot of guys there you're going to have to feed, and you have to wonder if he's going to be the one to be able to step up.
Yeah, you got to look at it the same situation, especially since we're talking NFC. It's the Drake London situation. Drake London, great high upside, massive draft pick. Everybody was saying, he's a top 15 draft pick for Dynasty. He was a guy, go after him. Well, for 2 years, his value was in PPR leagues, and really his value wasn't there. He's probably a good wide receiver too, good flex, and it's because of quarterback play. I honestly think that's what these rookies. I believe Xavier Worthy is going to have the higher upside just because of who he's got throwing to him.
It makes sense to me. Okay, so with that said, I know we're still waiting on Money Mansmann to return. Unfortunately, he was having some audio issues. We're going to go ahead and just move forward. We're going to jump into the league. We're going to try and take as much time as we can until he gets back. Vatrelle, you are the guest of honor here today. So normally we do have a method of madness when it comes to our divisions that we picked, so we can keep it entertaining. But I'm going to defer the first one to you. So we have the NFC North, South, East, and West. Each one of them has their own hot topics of conversation. Vatrelle, which one do you want to start with first?
Let's go into the NFC East.
You want to start with the East? All right, we're going to jump right into it as it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we are giving out the division winners. We're giving out all the odds. We also have their win totals, and we have their make playoff odds or miss playoff odds for the first time, folks. And starting off in the NFC East, in the lead, it is the Philadelphia Eagles, currently the favorite at minus 120 on FanDuel. Dallas Cowboys are in second odds. They're plus 155 right now. Washington Commanders come in third, 11-1. New York Giants to win the NFC East, 14-1 plus 1400. Win totals, Philadelphia and Dallas both sit at 10.5. Washington and the New York Giants sit at 6.5. Odds for the teams to make the playoffs, you got Philadelphia minus 300, Dallas minus 176, Washington 3-1, New York Giants to make the playoffs plus 430, and to miss the playoffs, you're going to see that on the bottom of the ticker. Vatrelle, again, I'm going to defer to you. This is always the first question we ask. Which team is going to win the division out of those four?
It's such a hard call. I'm going to have to give it to Dallas again.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to have to give it to Dallas. Just there's too many questions in Philly still. Their meltdown they had at the end of last year haunts them. That is still lingering over them. Dallas is we all know who Dallas is. They're a great regular season team. They've got that quarterback issue they're trying to figure out with Prescott. He's going to get paid. His headline this last week was he can't survive off $34 million. Come on. If that was any of us, we could make that work. But
oh yeah, 100%.
He's going to get paid. Dallas have the pieces. They're going to win the division this year. Philly's got a lot of questions that we need answered. And frankly, the latest headline that I just saw come out a couple days ago is that Hurts and his head coach still aren't on the same page. That should not be in the news feeds. If I'm reading that, you've got problems. So Dallas for me.
Yeah, another rumor. Howie Roseman had his hands all over Sirianni's coordinator too. Money Mansmann, looks like you have returned.
Welcome back, Money Mansmann.
Yeah, hopefully you could hear me now. Oh, now I'm glitching. What the fuck?
Can't wait. You're glitching, but we can at least hear you.
Yeah, I was gonna say you sound good.
Okay, at least you could hear me. Okay. Thank God I'm back because Vatrelle's already wrong.
Here we go. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's get started.
I think this is the Eagles division to win. You have to remember that when the Eagles struggled the last time, that was because they had that gauntlet at the end of the year where they played like 6 of the 7 top teams in football. You look at who Dallas lost, especially on their offensive line, some guys on the defensive side. I think Dallas, and also remember too, NFC East, how many years in a row has there not been a repeat champion? So inevitably,
like 4 seasons now.
So inevitably, I'm going to look for another team to win this year, and the Eagles are the team. They have Saquon Barkley. I expect Jalen Hurts will be fine.
It's about to happen.
And Dallas is, if you look at Dallas, they're not going to be as good as they were last year. They lost some guys. So I don't think they're going to be the same team.
Okay. I'll tell you their top 2 pickups. Tyler Guyton, they drafted him from Oklahoma. And, they re-signed Ezekiel Elliott after having 1 year of Tony Pollard. They said that wasn't good enough. And they saw Ezekiel Elliott at the Patriots and were like, that's our guy. Should have just kept him. So they made up for it, I guess. But, I'm with Money Mansmann here. This is really, it is Philadelphia's to lose. Another couple things, too. One of the big things, I know they lost Jason Kelce at center, but they made up for it by re-signing Saquon Barkley. And if you have to think about it, The only reason I think DeAndre Swift was so successful was because of that Philadelphia O-line. Now you did lose your star center, but now you need a running back where, you really can't just force a tush push. You really need the guy that's going to be able to break and get on the outside. You're going to need a guy that's going to have the leg strength to actually push forward. Saquon fucking bench, he squats 900 pounds. You're going to have to make up the strength from somewhere else. So I really like the signing in hindsight for Saquon. He got his money. He went to his division rival, but he went to a team that essentially needed him the most. Believe it or not.
So I'm going to ask this. When's the last time we saw a running back, a major running back that was performing well on their home team have that same kind of success when he re-signed out?
That's a debatable question, I suppose, but.
And then tell me what Philly's done to reshore their offensive line.
Philadelphia. Yeah, I got.
That's their one. That's the one risk with them. Are they going to miss Jason Kelsey? That's the big risk with them.
And I believe 100% that they're going to. The tush push is gone. Jason Kelsey he fortified that line. He was the communication piece. You're bringing in Saquon, Saquon is a hell of a player. He's got to adjust to this system, and they've got to be able to actually block. And I just don't see it there. Look, Phil, you're 100% right. They never have a repeat champion. I think that it's time to break from the pack. And all the questions between coaching, the questions on your offensive line, you went and got a great running back. That's great. Have you actually seen how he's going to perform in your system? Is he ready? We don't know.
Who's Dallas's coach? You want to talk about coaching? Who's Dallas's coach?
Jerry Jones.
Yeah, exactly. But
that's a winning argument.
Let me bring up a better point, though. Comparing the Eagles, so you look at the 2022 season, compared it to the 2023. And then now we're in 2024. What was the one thing about the Eagles, especially during that end gauntlet, that ended up killing them? It was defense. They gave up so many points in the last 8 games of their regular season. And Vic Fangio is no longer going to be present in that organization. Now you have I forgot who his replacement was, but I think this is going to be a whole different defensive regime that we're used to in Philadelphia. I think they're going to get back to form. And kind of like what Mansmann said, I think even looking at the schedules, this is Philadelphia's to lose. But, this is like one of Mansmann's plays that he did, I think, last year. I do think Philly will win the division, but I still like Dallas to get over the 10.5 win mark. I mean, there's no reason that they still won't be successful. The 11 wins, I think it's pretty attainable. There's no reason they've done it. I think 3 out of the last 4 seasons, minus the Dak injury season during COVID.
Dallas goes 12-5 this year. You heard it.
Ooh.
No, I don't think so. It's a tough schedule.
Yeah, so my overplay, it is Dallas, but really only because I just think that it's also kind of a hedge, too, if you think about it. If something happens with Philly, because they are my division pick, but, let's be honest, it's not going to be fucking Washington. They're essentially all but in rebuild mode. I know they just got Jaden Daniels. They signed Austin Eckler to a deal, but, that team is, I'm not going to say completely in shambles, but this is a team in rebuild. This is a team that's getting basically rookies and veteran presence just to stay alive. The Giants, I don't know if y'all been watching Hard Knocks. They have spent 2 straight episodes trying to spin this thing about how they dropped the ball in signing Saquon Barkley. Which the one thing that you can give them credit for was look, Daniel Jones has no O-line. You kind of need to prioritize O-line over having a running back right now just based on their salary cap. They projected $240 million. They had $255. They still didn't get it done. There's just no excuse for this Giants organization. It is you want to sign a bum quarterback for $200 million, but you can't sign your star running back who is the only reason you had an offense to begin with. So they're fucking losers. They're done. And with that said, the Giants are going to be my underplay, under 6.5. I think they're going to be one of the bottom feeder teams this year. I think Dayball had a one-and-done good season, and that's going to be that.
Yeah, I agree 100% on that one.
They're actually, the Giants are my overplay, over 6.5.
Oh, no. What?
Yep.
I want to hear this.
Yeah, the Giants' schedule is not good. And if you look at it, they won 6 games last year with Tommy Cutlets at quarterback.
Who's no longer on the team.
If Daniel Jones is a better quarterback than Tommy Cutlets. I'm not saying he's good. He's better than Tommy Cutlets. So, with that, they need to win one more game than they did last year. Their schedule is not that good. I think they play the NFC South. So, their schedule is not that good. And if Daniel Jones plays even 12, 13 games, I think they could at least win 7 games. That, to me, is the very clear overplay in this division. I don't really want to mess around with the Eagles or Dallas getting 11 wins because I feel like one of them is and one of them isn't. I don't want to go with Washington. I think the Giants at 6.5 is the obvious play.
Well, and I think you said it, like the NFC South going up against the NFC East. I'll take the East all day, every day. And that's why Cowboys were my over. I mean, you're looking at the first 4 games. They do have to travel to Cleveland. That's going to be a weird spot. But then they get the Saints at home. They get the Ravens at home, which could be a tough win. Then they get the Giants, Steelers. Lions are going to be tough. But looking at the tail end, too, last 4 games, Panthers, Bucks, Eagles at Philadelphia. They're at home against Washington. It's going to be tough. But Dallas they've been able to get decent wins against some good teams, albeit the last good win they got was against Detroit, and that was without controversy. But I could just see that happening. The Giants, no Saquon Barkley. You're literally relying on Daniel Jones to throw the ball. Daniel Jones could be benched by week 7, and we could see Drew Lock. And no offense, I'm a big Drew Lock fan. I like the guy. Denver drafted him and all. He's not that good. And what running back did they replace Saquon Barkley with? They replaced him with Devin Singletary. Jason, how good is Devin Singletary as a starting running back?
We're not going to talk about it.
Comment.
They got help at wide receiver too. Allen Robinson and Isaiah McKenzie.
Hey, Isaiah McKenzie isn't bad. I like
Isaiah McKenzie in special teams.
Oh, is Daniel Jones still throwing the ball though?
He is. That is correct.
Better than Tommy Cutlets and better than Tommy DeVito.
Here's the real question. Here's the real question, Jason. If you really like Giants over, can they win one primetime game?
Absolutely not.
Well, no. Let's not compare.
Can they beat Dallas?
And they're plus 122 on that.
Can they beat Philadelphia? Can they beat Dallas?
Every once in a while, they get lucky and beat the Eagles. They could beat Washington, though. They kick Washington's ass.
That's 3-3. So maybe Mansmann, instead of playing the over, maybe if there's like a division win over where because that is a prop they offer where it's how many wins are they going to get at them against division opponents. Maybe if you could get a 1.5, 2.5, you hit the over on that.
Here we go. They play the Vikings at home. They could win that. They play Seattle.
Not.
Seattle's not that good.
They're not beating Seattle.
Who else do they play? They play the Panthers on the road, Bucks at home, Saints at home. They could win that.
That's a loss.
The Falcons at the end of the year, Kirk Cousins might be in a hospital bed at that point. The Colts at home. I just rattled off 5 wins right there, and they haven't even beaten Washington twice.
You rattled off 5 games that me and Vatrelle literally sat here. We're like, no.
I get it. You need to win that line. Those games are not 5 wins. They're not. I'm sorry. You think
who's your overplays? Who the hell are your overplays then?
I play Dallas because primarily they're playing the NFC.
Terrible pick.
They're playing the NFC South. I think that's 4 wins there. They're going to probably split with Philly. They're going to beat the Giants. That's 3. And then I think looking at their remaining schedule, they got the Steelers, the Niners, Lions. That could be tough, but they're going to play the Texans. I think they could win that. They got the Commanders twice. They're going to beat them twice. I think they could beat the Bengals at home in primetime, but that's a coin toss. I think it's going to be close. I really, like Vatrelle said 12-5. I'm thinking more 11-6.
Well, I'll know week 1. I'll know week 1 if I'm going to win the bet because week 1,
they play
if they lose to they play the Vikings at home. If they lose to the Vikings at home week 1, I'm toast.
I mean, we could call the incinerator bet now if you want. If you want to go Giants,
no.
I want to save it for later. I personally have one for you later, but
I'm plus 120. I had plus 122, so
the odds aren't in your
Vegas
favor.
doesn't favor my pick, but
so
I guess
who's your underplay then, Jason? If you have we have an over for the Giants. Who's your under?
The Washington Commanders. No, I actually agree with Vatrelle. I think Jaden Daniels is going to be pretty good. I just think Washington's a team sort of in flux, and they're in a tough division, and they really don't play well against the Giants, which means I think they're going to struggle in division. And, you know, they're at 6.5 too. I just think to ask them to get 7 wins with a rookie quarterback, team in flux, new coach, new everybody, I think Jaden Daniels is going to be good. I actually think he's going to be better than Caleb Williams. He would be my pick for sort of, if you want to pick like, I don't know, rookie of the year or like best rookie quarterback. I would actually favor Jaden Daniels as well. I just think 7 wins is a tough ask for them. So that would be my underplay. And honestly, I don't know why they're ahead of the Giants, because I think I like the Giants coaching staff, where I think they can get to 7 wins. I don't think Washington's going to get to 7 wins year one, but do like Jaden Daniels.
Gotcha. Yeah, my underplay still goes to the Giants. I think the problem with Washington that I had, just looking at their schedule, they play we've already mentioned this, the NFC East, they play the NFC South this year. There's just so many question marks going on in that division with a team like Washington, with a team like the Giants. You have to just wonder which side is going to end up being on the top. And I know we're going to get to the South here soon, but it's just like, I don't know if Derek Carr can go in and beat this Washington team, especially with, by the way, you mentioned new coaching regime. It's Dan Quinn. And this just gives me vibes of like, they couldn't get the best coach out on the free market, so they just picked up Dan Quinn.
Yeah, Dan Quinn ain't that good. He's not that good.
Like, remember when Carolina was on the coaching market and they could have got a lot of people? I really liked how they got a Jairo Evero, a defensive coordinator. They ended up with why am I forgetting it? The former guy from the Colts, Frank Reich. That's who they landed on, and you were just like, really? Bryce Young, number 1 overall, this supposed generational talent. You gave him Frank Reich.
Right, and you screw him. And that's what I'm afraid of. That's why I agree with the Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders call, because while he's an extremely talented player, really talented quarterback, I just don't know Washington's game plan with their coaching moves around them, and they could really botch another quarterback. For better or worse.
You're exactly right, Vatrelle. Think about it. The Cleveland Browns, New York Jets, Washington, whatever they're calling themselves these days. These are teams that historically you could make a fortune betting on them screwing up a rookie quarterback. So until they do it correctly, you're 100% right. Like,
yeah, I actually might. I think you guys are talking me out of like making my Giants pick. I think I'm going to bet on both, but I think I'm going to make this a 1.5 unit play Washington, 1 unit play on the Giants, just because I really do. I could see both under, because I could just see Daniel Jones getting benched by week 8, especially if they lose like the first 5. I could just see Drew Lock getting. I could see Drew Lock getting a chance, and like Drew Lock like having that one Monday night performance, and then just shedding the bed the rest of the year.
You know what? I forgot. I actually like the Giants over even more. I totally forgot Drew Lock was the backup. So even if Daniel Jones gets hurt, I still like Drew Lock better than Tommy Cutlets, and they won 6 games last year with Cutlets.
But did they win because of Tommy Cutlets, or did Saquon end up saving them in certain spots? And Tommy Cutlets had moments. We fell for Cutlet mania, but like, come on, like
I didn't.
Okay, maybe not, but all right. With that said, we have make playoff odds and we have miss playoff odds. Making playoffs: Philadelphia -300, Dallas -176, Washington 3-1, Giants +430. Missing the playoffs: +235 for Philly, +140 for Dallas, -400 Washington, Giants -620. Really, I think we're just talking about the top 2 teams here. So, do any of you have any like bold predictions, bold plays on either end of that?
No,
don't like any. Yeah, don't like any of those.
I don't either. I think both are projected to make the playoffs. I like Philly to win the division. Vatrelle, your notion of like having a repeated champion, I just want to warn you, I said the same thing last year with Philly, and they ended up shitting the bed at the last minute, and Dallas took it.
Call me the lone wolf. Call me the lone wolf. I'll take it.
All right. That's it for the NFC East. We're going to move on. We have the North, South, and the West left over. Vatrelle had first pick. Mansmann, you are the other co-host. Which division you want to go for next?
Oh, boy. Do I want to fight? Let's do NFC North. I have a feeling we're going to fight. I got some I have some grievances about the NFC North here.
Oh, boy. Here we go. It's the NFC North. Starting off, your division leader, former champion Detroit Lions, plus 135 to repeat division winners. Coming in second is Green Bay Packers, plus 195. Chicago Bears with the number one overall, plus 330 to win the division. Minnesota Vikings, also with a new quarterback, plus 950, 9.5 to 1 odds to win the division. Win totals sit at Detroit with 10.5, Green Bay 9.5, Chicago 8.5, Minnesota 7.5. Odds to make the playoffs: Detroit minus 265, Green Bay minus 164, Chicago minus 110, and Minnesota odds to make the playoffs it currently sits at 3-1. Mansmann, you picked the division. Who's your division winner this year? Do the Lions repeat?
So, yes, that is my pick. I'm firmly on the Lions. Can we just talk about the bullshit in this division? When did Jordan Love become a top 5 quarterback? Did I miss that? Did I miss last season when he was good?
There's somebody who's a realist. Thank you.
All I've heard, they didn't even make the playoffs. They won some game at the end of the year against, I forgot who the fuck it was, to make the playoffs. And all I'm hearing all year, Jordan Love is so great. He's a top 5. This was a team that, let's be honest, they were shanked kick against the Saints away for missing the playoffs. They never should have been in the playoffs. They beat the Chargers with an injured quarterback. Jordan Love is not that good. And all I'm hearing about is how great Green Bay is. But let's bump the brakes there. The Chicago Bears are currently even money to miss the playoffs. The
Okay.
Chicago Bears are shit. They are shit. Caleb Williams.
Mr. I want to paint my nails. I don't want to be paid. I want my LLC to be paid. Mr. I want to fucking argue over guaranteed money before I'm even drafted.
What about the drafting of Caleb Williams? Do we think in year one that Caleb Williams is going to be better, appreciably better, than Justin Fields was in the second half of the year?
No.
I don't think so. So you're telling me that Chicago is suddenly going to be a playoff team? Miss playoffs, minus 110. Are you kidding me? That is my favorite bet in this division. Chicago Bears miss playoffs, minus 110. I know their schedule sucks, but give me a break. This is crap.
Jason, to make you feel any better, I not only tailed that bet, I tailed that bet back in May. I got that shit.
Win totals, Chicago 8.5. Okay, I could see they have a bad schedule. Maybe you could make the case they win 9 games. But for Chicago to be even money to miss the playoffs, that's a joke. So having said that, there's one good team in this division. There's one good team in this division. They were great last year. They still have all their main pieces from last year. I don't know why Detroit suddenly is not the team to beat in this division. I have Detroit division, Detroit over. That is, those are 2 of my plays in this division. So there we go. Rant over.
By the way, I picked up Chicago back in May, plus 110 to miss the playoffs. So that's why you jump on these odds ASAP, folks, because now it's even money. I remember I texted it to you. I was like, why is Chicago plus money to miss the playoffs.
That's a joke.
That should have been a mortgage bet, but I didn't do the mortgage bet. I only did 2 units, but I was just like, am I missing something? Is Caleb? And again, I know we asked you earlier, Vatrelle, like what the generational talent factor in terms of fantasy. Vatrelle, between Chicago and Jordan Love, and by the way, to answer your question, the team they beat, Jordan Love beat the Chicago Bears week 18, 17-9 to make the playoffs. Threw for 2 touchdowns though. So
and one more quick point about Caleb Williams. This is the best time to bet to fade the rookie quarterbacks because of what CJ Stroud did. The thinking is, he's going to be the next CJ Stroud. Except CJ Stroud probably had the best season of a rookie quarterback maybe in NFL history. So literally, CJ Stroud level, that's once every 25 years and maybe one ever, because I think he had one of the best seasons as a rookie ever. So if Caleb Williams is a regular rookie, good luck with the Bears making the playoffs.
One more point to add on to that. CJ Stroud's expectations were set so low because he was drafted 2nd overall to Houston, who was literally back-to-back worst team in the league. So the takeoff was just that much more insane. But Vatrelle, to answer, and go ahead and answer the question. Your take on the Bears, Jordan Love, who's your division winner here?
So, first off, the line is the line. Jason called the picks perfectly. Detroit wins this division. It's their division to lose. I love what they've done over there. All their picks. One of the ones that I'm still regretting to this day is Amon-Ra St. Brown. Essentially, with all the talent that I've given away, I should have had everyone's championship. Steve, you got Christian McCaffrey that I originally have. Jason got Amon-Ra that I originally had.
What'd you trade Amon-Ra for? What'd you trade Amon-Ra for, buddy?
We're not talking about that on the
No. You can't bring it up. You can't bring this up and introduce it and not give the full context.
Leonard Fat-Ass Fournette is who I traded him for.
Even worse. And he gave me a 2nd-round pick. I'm pretty sure you gave me a 2nd-round pick, too.
There may have been a pick involved in that, but we'll leave that alone. This is why, ladies and gentlemen, just take what Jason says because he'll hustle the shit out of you. But no, the Jordan Love conversation, the Caleb Williams conversation, Jason, thank you, Mansmann, thank you again for bringing that up. Steve, you and I talked about it earlier in the show. First off, Caleb Williams, I'm going to start with him. On fantasy perspective, betting perspective, and all, you name it. How many first-round generational talent quarterbacks have we heard coming into this draft? They're going to be the next coming of Jesus. We heard the same conversation with Trevor Lawrence, who is a solid B quarterback right now. Caleb Williams has not shown me anything that says, and the organization that he's gone to, again, hasn't shown me anything that says you're going to be any more than a B-tier quarterback. CJ Stroud, just like you said, Abeyta, CJ Stroud, his expectations were so low, and he just took off. He took off with what he was given, and they had nothing. That's why he looked as good as he did. They have built this offense around Caleb Williams, and he's struggling in practice. And you're telling me that they're a playoff team? What did you change? What did you change to qualify them as a
don't forget Keenan Allen, too, by the way.
Keelan, I'm almost 30 years. I can't.
800 years old.
Yeah, Keenan, I'm ready to put myself in the grave. Allen.
Yeah, don't forget Gerald Everett, backup tight end. Oh, new running back DeAndre Swift. But I mean, again,
which Philly dumped on. He's only, by the way, DeAndre Swift is 25 years old. I don't know if you guys saw that. He's only 25 years old. This man plays like he's 35.
I was gonna say this guy ain't aging well.
Yeah.
And by the way, you know how you talk about getting numbers? Now's the time because you're one bad Caleb Williams preseason game away from this line changing massively. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah, missed playoffs. You're one bad preseason snap away from going minus 300 to miss the playoffs. I'm telling you, if you listen, hang on, I got to go solo here for a minute. Listen, I tried to tell Money Mansmann earlier. I tried to say, this is a shit line. You need to jump on it now. It's plus money. Now we're at minus 110. Caleb, I paint my fingernails, and I'm more focused on my appearance. And I'm just focused on literally trying to financially finagle my way where I get paid and don't have to pay taxes. Williams is the last guy I want to bet any single fucking cent on. I watched this guy play at USC. I watched this guy cry after blowing a lead and crying in his mom's arms. And I'm not saying anything about him being emotional, but what I'm saying is, do you want that guy at the end of a game that he blows? You want that guy leading your franchise? You want the guy who's more focused on just like pretending to be the name. He is literally like the most feminine version of Russell Wilson when he came into Denver. I never would have said that about Russ. I never thought like he was a feminine guy. It was just a weird, like, this guy's pretty cocky for having done nothing. I had the same problem with Caleb Williams. This guy hasn't done jack shit to even think he has any aura of confidence. If anything, I just think he's a weak quarterback. I don't know how he even went first overall. This is probably going to be one of the worst first overall picks since Jamarcus Russell. Fade the fuck out of the Bears. Fade the fuck out of their win total. I'm betting against them literally every week until proven otherwise. I'm done my rant. The Bears just are fucking a trash organization. They're more focused on a stadium rebuild than like their own franchise at this point, it seems like, by getting these older guys. Like, I just don't get where this Bears hype comes from. And changing the topic, my underplay, we alluded to it. Jordan Love under 9.5 wins, plus 110 now.
So let me jump in on that Jordan Love train as well. Because
go for it.
I tried to make a trade earlier this week for a team that's holding on to Jordan Love because they believe he's the next coming of Jesus. I tried to offer Tua. All I needed was a third-round pick. Tua led the league last year in passing yards. Great, B-tier quarterback for fantasy. Jordan Love, Mr. Inconsistent. Jordan Love reminds me of Joe Flacco after the post-Super Bowl. Inconsistent as hell. He gets one playoff
staring intently.
Exactly.
He's staring intently into the distance.
I apologize. But he gets one playoff win, and everyone all of a sudden, Jordan Love's the next coming of Jesus. He's about to be the best quarterback in the NFC. You have no idea. No, I don't believe any of that. He does not get the Aaron Rodgers treatment when Brett Favre came out. It is not that same. We are not staring at that. We've seen Jordan Love in a regular season. I'll be shocked to see Green Bay go in as a division. We've already called it. The division belongs to Detroit right now. I'll be shocked to see them actually make postseason. I don't believe in Jordan Love at all. Anybody who's riding thinking he's the next great quarterback coming out of Green Bay, I'm sorry. Take that bet. And you know what? If you're handing money out, I'll take it. If you're handing it out, I'll take it. That's how much. Please pass it this way. I'll put the bet on. I'll put the bet on my guy over in Jaden Daniels for having Rookie of the Year. I'll put it on that.
That's a bold prediction. We're going to have to save that for our upcoming episode in the next few weeks, folks. We have not set a date. However, Mr. Commissioner Kirkland here has confirmed his appearance. He will be back. We are doing a 2-hour player prop special episode of the Distinguished DGents, giving out player props. We're going to give out MVPs. We're going to give out passing yards, rushing yards, and anything above and beyond. We are going to do a 2-hour episode of that next time.
I will gladly be back for that.
All right. With that said, one more thing. Green Bay, if you remember, not only did they have that shitty win against Chicago when I thought it was going to be another blowout, they got Dallas in like one of the weirdest sandwich spots of all time, where Dallas just completely shit the bed at home against Green Bay and let up 40 points in the first half.
Yeah, I got burned that game.
That's called the NFL story writers, because that doesn't happen. I'm sorry.
No, it doesn't. Green Bay, they're one of my bigger fade teams of the year. I think Jordan, and again, Mansmann will tell you, I got burned by Jordan Love on so many bets last year, thinking that, like, you know what, I think he really is the real deal. I think he's a solid starter. And then he just constantly shit the bed up until literally towards the last 5 games of the season was when he came out of his shell. He had one showing against Dallas, and then just like that was it. And at this point, it's like, I know who Jordan Love is. He might be the starter for Green Bay for this year. They're talking like he's the new Brett Favre.
You want to know who Jordan Love
is?
Jordan Love is Matt Flynn. That one 6 touchdown performance in Green Bay, and everybody's like, next starter right there. Disappeared. Never heard from again. That's Jordan Love.
Yeah.
I don't mind. He didn't even play that well this year. Although what's funny is that's not actually my underplay. I haven't given my underplay yet. And it's the last team in the division we haven't talked about.
Ooh.
It's minus 170, but it's Minnesota under 7.5.
Wow.
Here's my problem with Minnesota. This is a rebuilding year for them. And J.J. McCarthy, let's be honest, in college, he basically handed the ball off.
I said the same thing to Vatrelle earlier when he went off camera. We were talking about it. Like, you went from a Kirk Cousins who was a solid, steady guy. You knew you were getting out of him at least. Yeah. And now you have all these weapons and mouths to feed, and it's essentially just like a guy that got a fucking full ride scholarship to hand the ball off to Blake Corum.
Yeah, like I see Minnesota, even if they're decent, they need to win 8 games. That's going to be a tall order for them. I don't see them. I don't really see them any way Minnesota wins 8 games this year. So they're my underplay of the division. Even though, again, I'm going to be looking to fade Green Bay and Chicago every chance I get.
Gotcha. Mr. Kirkland, welcome back. Do you have any underplays? Is there anything else you want to get out there before we move on to the make or miss playoffs?
I like the Minnesota move, but just Green Bay. I'm still riding on Jordan Love being a fraud. That imposter syndrome.
Yeah, so here we go. We already gave out the make playoffs odds. You can check out the ticker below. Here's miss playoff odds. Detroit plus 210. Green Bay plus 134 to miss the playoffs. Chicago even money minus 110. Minnesota minus 400. So earlier in the year when the odds were different, I picked up Chicago to miss the playoffs at plus money. It's now even money. That's still my play, though. I mean, I would take it up to minus 150. This is just like, literally, this is a team that has proven nothing. They picked up people who were better under better systems with known quarterbacks. You know, Keenan Allen. Even with Justin Fields, you knew who Justin Fields was, but you know, I guess the idea is that this guy's even better than Justin Fields. Maybe we'll get something. I'm not convinced. I'm still not convinced that Chicago is even remotely close to making the playoffs. That's why I didn't even want to play the win totals. Because honestly, the problem I can foresee is that if Caleb Williams is better than Justin Fields, could they win 7 games? Could they win 8 games? Could they even get to 9-8 at the last second in week 18? But just, you know, and it's a very real possibility. I think we had the same issue with Green Bay and Jordan Love. It was like, well, is this guy better than when Aaron Rodgers was in his worst year? Could he get them to 9-8 and make the playoffs? And it's a big question mark. Which is why I went the missed playoffs route, because I just don't foresee Chicago beating the right teams to get that edge to get in. And I got it at plus money. And honestly, I think he could be worse than Justin Fields in his best year, and I could just see this going downhill real quick. So that was why that was my play, and Green Bay was my under, but it was kind of correlated. But Mansmann, you went under. So who do you have for make playoffs, miss playoffs? Do you have anything you want to throw out?
Like I told you, best bet, Chicago to miss playoffs minus 110. No brainer bet. Most hyped team in the offseason, and again, you're basically hoping that Caleb Williams is CJ Stroud 2.0. And like I said, there might have not been a CJ Stroud in the history of the NFL. And Vatrelle talked about all the Andrew Luck, Trevor Lawrence, Bryce Young, all of the sort of how many hyped quarterbacks have there been as rookies? And how many have been C.J. Stroud?
Oh, I don't know. Paxton Lynch, Bo Nix.
Brock Osweiler.
Yeah, I mean, as a Broncos
fan. The list
fan,
goes on.
Yeah. And like you said, Chicago Bears. Again, you could make a fortune betting against their rookie quarterbacks being any good, too. So, till I hear otherwise, that's where I'm going.
Yeah, I got you there. Vatrelle, any final thoughts? Anything other than fading Green Bay?
No, I'm good.
You're good.
It's not out of my system, but I'm good for now.
All right. Here we go. We got the last two divisions. We're going to the South or the West. It's my turn. I want to save the West for last because me and Mansmann, we do generally always find a way to fight with that division.
Hate the NFC West.
You hate but you don't hate you. It's one of those things. You hate the South, but like you also hate the West. So,
I will say the NFC West made me a lot of money last year, but
yeah. So let's try to ride this. I'm going with the South. So let's get this over with. Atlanta Falcons to win the division -130. Tampa Bay +310. New Orleans +380. Carolina to win the division 12-1. Win totals set at Atlanta at 9.5. Tampa Bay 7.5, as well as New Orleans. Carolina is 5.5 on their win total. Odds to make the playoffs for the Falcons -194, +142 for the Bucks, +172 for the Saints, +520 for the Panthers. Odds to miss the playoffs. Atlanta +156, Tampa -176 to miss the playoffs, New Orleans -220, Carolina -800 to miss the playoffs. Almost seems like guaranteed money. All right. My division winner is not going to be the Atlanta Falcons, the team favorite. I do not understand, in the terms of betting, why the fuck getting Kirk Cousins for the Falcons all of a sudden just makes them the perennial favorite here? In terms of fantasy, Vatrelle, I'm not going to be a big hypocrite here because in terms of fantasy, you're going to get a solid 20 to 25 points a game in Kirk Cousins, and in a team where if you just have every other piece, that's all you need. So I think there's an aspect of Kirk Cousins where you can say, you know what you're getting. But personally, in terms of the division and in terms of futures, I think Kirk Cousins is just going to join he's going to join the perennial list in the NFC South of mediocre white guys. Your Baker Mayfields, your fucking Matt Ryans, fucking Jake Delhomme, your mediocre white guys of the NFC South who have done nothing with their lives.
So I have to interject on this one from the futures perspective now. You think that Kirk Cousins is not going to win the division with Bijan Robinson,
no,
Drake London?
No,
I'm pretty sure it's Bijan.
It's Bijan.
I don't care what the hell his name is. He's a hell of a running back.
No, he's not.
When he's used.
He's not, and here's why. He had just as good of a lineup in Minnesota. He had one good year.
Come on, it's Arthur Smith.
So you think? So let me get this straight. You think Baker Mayfield is
and that's
taking
another,
it over? Because that's the only other option.
That's my point, and I'm going to get to that later. This is more of a fate of Atlanta than it really is in big support of Tampa. I just don't – you have to think. And Kirk Cousins, like, I don't get why he all of a sudden takes this team over the hump. They haven't been able to get over the hump since Matt Ryan took them to the Super Bowl. And even after that, this team's been tanking. Different coach, which is another reason why I don't want to take Atlanta. This is going to be a whole new coaching scheme and a whole new coaching regime. Why the hell is Kirk Cousins going to be good there? And I have some stats for you, by the way. With Kirk Cousins' best season in Atlanta versus the NFC South last year with the other two contenders, which really comes down to Baker Mayfield, like you said. Baker Mayfield, passing yards on average, 7.1. Kirk Cousins, 7.1. Obviously different records. Completion percentage, Kirk Cousins, best season in Minnesota, 65.9. Baker Mayfield, 64.3. Not that much of a difference. You want to look at touchdowns, 29 to 28.
Compare Kirk. No.
Interceptions.
No, stop. Compare Kirk Cousins. Compare Kirk Cousins to Desmond Ridder. That's the only comp you need to do. Because that's the difference. Baker Mayfield doesn't play for the Falcons. Vatrelle's point is that they have playmakers and now they have a quarterback that could actually utilize the playmakers.
Here's my other point, though, and I was getting to it. Kirk Cousins' record versus Baker Mayfield, 0-2. Now you got to go Kirk Cousins against Derek Carr, who, again, similar numbers. Carr has better completion percentage. He has less interceptions. He has a better QBR. The problem I have is I can't see Kirk Cousins going into this Atlanta team. This is the same narrative I heard Russell Wilson with Denver. He's going to come in and take over, and Denver's going to be a good team again. I heard this before.
Denver didn't have anything around them.
Neither really does Atlanta. I mean, no offense. What is Drake London? What has Drake London done?
Okay. All right. We're about to have
I'm sorry. Who's better? Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson and fucking Justin Jefferson with Dalvin Cook in the backfield. He had one good season with them. One. He's going to go to a Bijan Robinson, Drake London, and a fucking Kyle Pitts that Atlanta still has yet to discover that they actually drafted him and got him.
First off, we need to rewind, okay?
I'm sorry, I'm not betting Atlanta.
This argument's really not good. Okay, Vatrelle, let's see what you got.
Okay, all right. So you say Kirk Cousins didn't have a good season at all with Minnesota.
No. I'm saying
not last year.
Even in his best season, he's not as good as we think. He went 13-4, but I really don't know if Kirk Cousins really was the factor as to why. And the fact that he's going to Atlanta and they're expecting him to have that 2022 success, it just seems asinine to me. With a team that, no offense, I don't think has as good of surrounding pieces as Minnesota had for him.
Okay, so here's what I need to understand. I need to understand this before I go. Who are you telling me is taking this division right now?
If I'm going to lay money on it, I'm going to lay it on Tampa because they are back-to-back division champions. They can win. They've proven even with a Baker Mayfield, even with Tom Brady in his worst year, they can get the division win in a real shitty division. And Kirk Cousins
won the division, just like you said, in a shitty division. Atlanta was one quarterback away from actually being able to make a difference.
And that's when they got Desmond Ridder. I mean, and that's okay. They took Taylor Heineke, too, in case he didn't pan out.
Oh, God.
And even worse than that, let's just say they thought Kirk Cousins was the answer. Jason, they thought Kirk Cousins was the answer. Who do they draft in their first round overall?
Yeah,
Tell me how that makes sense. If Kirk Cousins is the answer, you draft fucking Malik.
Because they're getting 2 years out of Kirk Cousins.
Michael Penix.
I'm sorry, not Malik.
You're thinking of Malik Neighbors.
I am.
No.
No.
They drafted Penix, and I'm actually okay with that because they know they're going to get 2 years out of Kirk Cousins, and they're not going to do what every other NFL team does. Throw this guy out there and pray to God it works out. They actually want to develop this guy to be a franchise quarterback. Is Michael Penix
Jordan Love.
Why did you do that? Why?
No, Atlanta is just, and not at minus 130.
I knew that was going to throw him off.
Look, if Atlanta was plus money, my argument probably isn't as strong. But the fact that they're just this big perennial favorite, it just seems ridiculous to me.
It's
all because it's Kirk Cousins.
On paper, it's their division to lose. You can't tell me that on paper they now do not look better than Tampa Bay.
I don't think Tampa really has changed too much. They're the back-to-back division champs. I'm surprised it's not closer.
You called it already in a shitty division. Kirk Cousins changes Atlanta's atmosphere. Atlanta's atmosphere, you now have everything. You have no excuse. There is no excuse anymore to say we can't at least get to the postseason.
Can Kirk Cousins win a primetime game for Atlanta? Can he beat Baker Mayfield?
Didn't he win them for Minnesota?
Not really.
Who threw the Minneapolis Miracle? I can't remember that. Don't get me wrong.
That was not Kirk Cousins. That was
that was the other guy. What's his name?
Case Keenum.
Case Keenum.
Oh yeah, okay. So that one was Case Keenum. But you're telling me that Kirk Cousins has never won a primetime game.
His record in primetime, there's numbers on this.
It's terrible.
Gamblers know that betting against Kirk Cousins in primetime is very profitable.
Which is fine. Again, you could take the line. However, a primetime game is a primetime game. I'm talking about him Atlanta making the postseason on his shoulders. I think that happened.
Well, I'm talking about winning the division. Forget making playoffs for a minute. I'm talking about just winning the division.
It's the same conversation. If they win the division, they're making the postseason. They're winning the division on his shoulders. You can't tell me that they're not. It's theirs to lose at this point.
And here's the other thing. What if his ACL snaps again?
The talent.
What if Kirk Cousins goes down again?
Okay, that's good.
For a season?
That's good. It's time for me to step in because this segment's been bad. Okay. I really want to, by the way, I really want to back New Orleans, except I can't because I know Allen, Dennis Allen and Carr are, no, I'm done with them. I hate to say it because I think Steve, up to that last point he made is the reason why I'm going to agree with him. Before that, the argument was terrible. But I actually agree with Steve that Tampa Bay is the play, and here's why. Kirk Cousins sustained that serious injury, and I just don't know if he's going to make it through a full season. That's my play. Like, I think there is a better than 50-50 chance that Kirk Cousins gets hurt this year. And if he gets hurt, I have negative 100 faith that Michael Penix will be a serviceable NFL quarterback. So with that in mind,
let me ask you this for a second, Jason. Just so I can understand. If Kirk Cousins finishes it, does Atlanta win the division?
Yes, I think so. I actually Tampa's more my overplay, to tell you the truth. I like Tampa to win at least 8 games. I think that's a better bet. Tampa's my division play at 3-1 because I agree with Steve. Like, I think the team's relatively unchanged. They've won the division 2 years in a row. I agree with you, though, Vatrelle. Like, to me, if Kirk Cousins plays 17 games, Atlanta, I think, is going to win the division. I think they're the more talented team. I just don't think that Kirk Cousins is going to play 17 games. And we also have to remember, there's a possibility that his efficacy is not what it was. We talked about that, Steve, in our Aaron Rodgers discussion.
Oh, yeah.
About how people are assuming with the Jets, you're getting MVP Aaron Rodgers. I don't think you're getting MVP Aaron Rodgers. And the same thing, there's no guarantee you're getting Minnesota Vikings Kirk Cousins. And I think our bet makes sense if you get less than what Kirk Cousins was with the Vikings, or he's out for a significant period of time. I think Tampa 3-1 is the bet to play. So
I think for Kirk Cousins, like with him on the Vikings, there were really bad seasons that we forget that he was on. He had one, like the one season we remember was 2022 when they went 13-4. Kirk Thuggins with his Coles cash chain, fucking hyping up the plane. We forget he went one and done in the playoffs, lost to Daniel Jones.
That was more Saquon Barkley he lost to.
But again, like literally last play of the playoffs, you dump it off to TJ Hawkinson. That was how you ended your career in Minnesota. Like, that's the guy who's going to take Atlanta. Remember that they have Kyle Pitts. Lead them to a division.
Well, Kyle Pitts is overrated. I will say. I love Bijan. I think Bijan's going to be good. I think some of their receivers are going to be good. I think Kyle Pitts is. I've heard a lot about Kyle Pitts, and there hasn't really been a lot of production.
I think Kyle Pitts is going to get a lot more exposure now that Kirk Cousins changes that atmosphere, because Drake London can now add value, which frees up Kyle Pitts and Bijan putting pressure on.
When did Kirk Cousins join the Vikings? 2019?
2020?
Hold on.
2019, I think it was.
So, Vatrelle, are you picking up Kyle Pitts in fantasy?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins, no playoff wins.
That's what I thought.
The 2022 season was the only season they ever won a division title. He went 2-2 in terms of winning records. 2021 and 2020, they were 8-9 and 7-9.
I think that could.
But this guy's going to win the division.
Okay, where's the Detroit in the NFC South? In Vatrelle's defense, where's the Detroit in the NFC South this year?
Okay.
Even Green Bay. I would pick Green Bay to win this division if they were in. And I'm not even a Jordan Love guy, but I think they win the NFC South.
So, if the argument is he has to finish the season, I agree. He's 35 years old. That injury could have a very serious impact on where his season goes. But I'm telling you right now, if he plays 17 games, that division belongs to Atlanta.
Ooh, that sounds like a heads-up bet between you two.
I could do it.
I'll make it. We can make it.
Ooh.
Does Vatrelle know about the incinerator? Does Vatrelle know about the incinerator?
Hang on. Let me bring up one last argument. Let me try and see if I can. So with Kirk Cousins, like again, your argument is that the Falcons team is comparable to what he had in Minnesota, or at least he has a well-built team around him. Correct?
Yeah, he's got a better built team in Atlanta right now.
Are you out of your mind? Are you high?
With that. I don't agree.
Okay,
with
Jason? Who's a better starting wide receiver? Justin Jefferson or Darnell Mooney or Drake London?
Yeah, pick whatever receiver you want.
Ray
Justin
McLeod
Jefferson.
III, Casey
Justin
Washington.
Jefferson.
I can go on. Okay, Jordan Addison, is he better? Is he worse than any of those guys?
No, he's better than every receiver.
You can't count Jordan Addison.
TJ
Hawkinson, he had his injury.
Or Kyle Pitts.
Same thing. That both of those were last. You can't count those two because both of those were last year when he suffered his injury. You can't count those two because he didn't have them.
I'm just saying in general, not like last year. In general.
Oh, then in general, no, I wouldn't say that. I'm talking about if you compare it over his last year.
Okay, well, keep Justin Jefferson. Forget Addison. Justin Jefferson or whoever is on Atlanta. I'll pick Justin Jefferson.
Okay, so yeah.
How about How about TJ Hawkinson? TJ Hawkinson or Kyle Pitts? Hawkinson or Drake London?
Hawkinson, definitely.
Now the one argument I could give you,
Bijan
Robinson. Bijan Robinson or Dalvin Cook or Alexander Madison. I mean,
you could even make the case that what's his name, Tyler Algier, is better than the Vikings running backs.
You could. So that's the one aspect I would say. Okay, maybe, but again,
O-line's comparable though.
Sure, why not?
They're comparable. I think you guys are going. I think they're comparable. Vatrelle, that's like better.
But the notion that Kirk Cousins is not only going to make this team better, but he's going to go to a better team. Get the fuck out of here with that. No,
I won't say he's gonna go to a better team. I think the situation is better. The situation is better. You're going to a team that it's a complete team in a shitty division. Minnesota, for the longest time, the Saints were the cream of the crop in that division. That's what he was up against. He's in a spot where essentially, okay, you've got everything that you need around you. So long as your coach and your offensive coordinator know what they're doing and your defense can play defense, because that's always been Atlanta's problem. Their defense has been complete ass. If they can hold up, it's Kirk Cousins' division. If he plays and they hold up, it's his division. He's in a spot where who else is behind him? Tampa Bay has Baker. Baker won. Tampa Bay looked decent last year. Did Tampa Bay look off the charts good? Did they look like a team that honestly belonged in the postseason? Did Baker look like a quarterback that, you know who he reminds me of? Jordan fucking Love.
Okay, but in my response to that, does Kirk Cousins ever look like he belongs in the playoff conversation? Has he done anything in the playoffs that makes you think that, like, this is a guy who could win a Super Bowl, let alone, could he win a fucking playoff game? Could we start with that? Like,
in the right situations, he had multiple games with Minnesota where, I feel like Kirk Cousins should be there, and then he had games.
Well, that you're just proving my point. He had so many situations and still shit the bed. Still can't do it. But that's okay. Atlanta, you know what? Kirk Cousins.
Why are you guys talking about the playoffs? I don't care. We know Kirk Cousins can't win a primetime game. That's not the question.
At the end of the
day, he can't win a primetime game.
He's going to win the division. It doesn't matter.
Can Atlanta win 10 games? If Atlanta wins 10 games, they're going to win the division.
They can win.
That is, I mean, I'll give you that. That is the argument to make. All right, Mansmann, what's your under? Give me an under or an over. Like, let's move on.
Who's my under? Oh, my under, for obvious reasons, Falcons under 9.5. For the reasons I stated. I think there's a question regarding Kirk Cousins' efficacy when he comes back. Is he going to be a similar player to he was in Minnesota? And I don't think he plays all 17. And if he plays half the games, I have no faith in Penix being anything. So that's, it's a speculative. This is the toughest division because really what the pick comes down to, what version of Kirk Cousins, it's almost like the Jets. What version of Kirk Cousins are you going to get? Is he going to play? And is he going to be? Because I think Minnesota Vikings, Kirk Cousins, Atlanta's the clear favorite in the division, and minus 130 is a steal. If Kirk Cousins is a shell of what he once was because he's hurt, well then I think Tampa 3-1 is a bargain. So I'm gonna go Atlanta under, Tampa over. Those are my plays.
Okay. Vatrelle, do you have any? I know we've been fucking barging Atlanta, but do you have any other plays on any other teams before I go on?
No, I agree with that call with Jason. It's Kirk Cousins. There's just such a factor around that's a good call. You take the under there.
I really want to bet at New Orleans over. They won 8 games last year, and they're probably going to win 8 again. I really want to.
God.
That's an emotional thing. They burned me last year, and I almost lost that Kaser bet.
Do you want to repeat it?
Give me till week 1 to decide.
I went under 7.5 New Orleans.
Here's why. They could win 7.
Here's why. It was close. I have a Carolina bet that I'm going to mention after this. There's a reason they weren't my under bet. I played a different line for kind of as a hedge. New Orleans, they did get 8 wins or 9 wins they got? I'm gonna literally tally off the wins they got. There's gonna be a point I'm gonna make. I would say they had 2 solid wins when they beat Gardner Minshew and the Colts in that high scoring game. Then when it went back and forth, and he beat Baker Mayfield and the Bucs once. That was arguably their best wins. Here are the other quarterbacks and the teams that the New Orleans Saints beat. They beat Bryce Young twice, Tyson Bagent of the Chicago Bears, Tommy DeVito of the Giants, Ryan Tannehill, Mac Jones, and Desmond Ridder. 2 of those quarterbacks I rallied off are still starting quarterbacks in the NFL. This is a whole new season with Derek Carr and this New Orleans Derek Allen offense that everybody and their mother seems to be able to predict. Except there really is no backup quarterback now for him. Jameis Winston's gone. Your starting wide receiver, Michael Thomas, he hasn't been present in 3 years. He's no longer there. He's gone.
It's going to be Chris Olave.
It's going to be Olave, but guess what? You're going to have, Olave, you're the one, double up. Literally have Derek Carr throw to anyone else. Good luck, God bless.
Yeah.
And that's a big problem I can just foresee the Saints team. This is the season Dennis Allen loses his job.
Well, you would think if they don't make the playoffs, and it looks like he's probably going to. Oh, by the way, Vatrelle, you'll love this story if you're still there. Steve and I had a Kaser bet, but it was over 9, under 9. If it was over 9, I got the Kaser. If it was under, Steve did. I was literally, the Saints needed to win 3 of their last 4 games for me to not lose the bet. And they literally won 3 of their last 4, I think it was. I was literally so close to paying Steve off the bet at week 12. I was so close. And I was like, no, we'll see.
There's a green thumb Mansmann again.
Yeah, but here's another thing, too. We mentioned that it's the NFC South and the NFC East playing each other this year. But I'll remind the people. The Saints have to play the Cowboys. They have to play the Eagles. They have to play the Giants and the Commanders. They're also, oddly enough, playing the AFC West. They have to go to Kansas City. They have to host Denver, which is always a big question mark. You never know what Denver's going to do. They have to go to the LA Chargers. They have to play Cleveland at some point. They have to play the LA Rams. There's just a lot of losing potential games I can see for the Saints team, and that's why I went under 7.5. Derek Carr, he was never the answer to begin with last year. I don't think he's the answer moving forward. This is another quarterback. I'm on, for spoiler alert, player props, I'm looking at Derek Carr unders this year. I could see him getting benched or injury prone happening. So, yeah, Saints under 7.5 is my play, but it's not nearly I hate Derek Carr. This is more of I just hate the situation they're in. I hate the schedule. I'm not a fan of where they're looking at moving. This is a team that's 1 bad loss away from rebuild.
By the way, pause for a minute. Something completely unrelated. There's a story developing that is going to shake the sports world. The United States men's basketball team in the second half is down 14 points to South Sudan.
Are you fucked?
What?
Oh my God.
The literal fuck
44-58? Are you kidding?
What is going on? That is, honestly, they shouldn't even go to the Olympics if they lose to South Sudan. I know it's an exhibition. South Sudan. You cannot point to that country on a map. Listen to this lineup. Listen to this lineup, guys. Here's what they started the second half with to show you how bad this is. Derek White, Anthony Edwards, Jason Tatum, Bam Adebayo, Anthony Davis. That's your lineup, and you're losing to South Sudan. What the fuck?
They were down 56-34.
So we're trash.
Honestly, don't even go. Don't even go to the Olympics. Don't even go to the Olympics. They should literally not go to the Olympics if they fucking lose to South Sudan.
South Sudan.
Because there's many South Sudanese NBA players. Fucking a roster of South Sudanese NBA players. This is embarrassing.
All right,
you know what? We're moving to Canada. Fuck it.
All right. Keeping this on track. My odds. I do like Tampa to win the division. Tampa to make playoffs too, plus money, plus 142. It's a double down bet. Nothing too crazy about it. Nothing really to get too complex about. I'm not going to play missing Atlanta because the win total of 9.5, like you have to wonder, is Atlanta going to get in at 9-8?
Yeah, they could.
That's a concern. So that's why I'm not going to play Atlanta miss playoffs and not necessarily play their over-under. I agree with you boys, though. If they get 10 wins, they're more likely than not probably winning the division. I don't see them getting to that point. I think Tampa has a better chance of doing that, but that's just me. Vatrelle, any final thoughts, comments, any teams you want to throw out there?
No, I'm good.
You're good. All right, last chance, boys and girls. We're moving on. It's the NFC West. Here we go. Odds to win the division for the NFC West. San Francisco 49ers, reigning defending champs, minus 195. Rams, plus 330. Seattle, plus 750. And the Cardinals, 12-1. Win totals are San Francisco, 11.5. Rams, 8.5. Seattle, 7.5. As well as Arizona. Odds to make the playoffs, San Francisco, minus 480. Rams to make the playoffs are plus 108, dead even money on the plus side. Seattle to make the playoffs is plus 184. Arizona, 3-1 odds to make it. Odds to miss the playoffs, San Francisco, plus 350. Rams, minus 132. Seattle, minus 230. Arizona, minus 420. All right. Money Mansmann, last chance. I know you love the NFC West so much. I know it's your favorite team to bet on. When you have your retire purse, you have to make a mortgage bet. I know you just look at those NFC West games.
Oh yeah, you know.
So I think we could argue division winner. It's kind of the same narrative for me last year, but do you have any bold predictions? Anything you want to go with, or is this just as predictable?
I want to take a shot with the Rams to win the division. Like their young playmakers, I'm hoping that maybe Brock Purdy has a step back. That's, I think, your only hope if you want to take down San Francisco. You got to hope maybe they have the Super Bowl hangover. Maybe Brock Purdy takes a step back. You could get the Rams to win the division. It's hard. I would take a shot at them 3-1. But San Fran's such a good team. And if Brock Purdy is just like steady, it's just really hard to, San Francisco's expected to be like the NFC version of Kansas City. They always seem to be really good. So, yeah, that's probably my boldest prediction if I was going to make one. Try and take a shot with the Rams to win the division. But San Fran's going to be a tough nut to crack. That's for sure. Yeah,
San Fran is like, they're just too good. But again, it's kind of like what I did last year with the Rams. It was like win total over, but throw a nickel or a dime piece on them to win the division just to see if it sticks. And
the Rams are my over 8.5. That to me seems really low. I think they won 10 games last year, and Stafford looked fine. I expect that he'll continue to sort of be okay, and they continue to have sort of those offensive playmakers. Sean McVay, although I do think Sean McVay is overrated, he still is a good coach. So I don't see any reason why they can't at least win 9 games. So
don't mind that play. Vatrelle, based on your looks, it looks like it's San Francisco or nothing for you. But go ahead and give us your thoughts.
Yeah, you guys called it head on. It's San Francisco's division. I don't care. Even if Brock Purdy takes a step backwards, they just have too many pieces. They've been good defensively for years. It's San Francisco's division to lose. I agree as well on the Rams line. It's the Rams. If they have them under 8 or at 8, that's a terrible call. I'm not sure what that's about, especially with Puka Nacua. Matt Stafford hasn't really shown any decrease in strength in that arm. I don't see a step back at all on that. So calls. I agree with
Kyron Williams.
Kyron Williams is going to dominate that backfield. Aaron Donald's still there.
Aaron Donald retired, sir. He is no longer there.
Who's that?
That's okay.
Who's that rookie corner they had last year, though, that really kind of showed off?
I think I know who you're talking about. I don't have the name. If you want to look that up, go ahead. I'll give you a quick rundown of who I have written down as the players. San Francisco, Josh Dobbs is their backup quarterback now. They also picked up cornerback Rock Ya-Sin. The LA Rams got Jimmy G as their backup quarterback now. Running back Boston Scott. Guard Jonah Jackson. Arizona, interesting pickups they got. They drafted Marvin Harrison Jr. They also picked up Zay Jones off free agency and Jadeveon Clowney. Seattle, not making too much noise, though. Don't really have anyone of significance there. But, yeah, I'm with you, boys. It's San Francisco or nothing in terms of odds. I'm with Mansmann. Like, throw a chip on the Rams if you really want to. Let's talk win totals, though. You already talked Mansmann. You said Rams over 8.5 here. I like that play as well. My bet on the over, though, was not that, though. I went over San Francisco 11.5. I think this is a state. It's bold. It's bold.
That's tough.
It's tough, but I think that's really the only way I can make money on San Francisco. They did it last year. I think they got, 13 wins last year? 13 or 14?
I don't think anyone in the NFC get over 12?
I'm pretty sure San Francisco and Detroit both got 13 wins or 14. I'm going to look it up here. Standings. Here
that corner was D-Ron.
12. Both Niners and Lions both had 12.
They both had 12. Okay, so again, Bruce, if San Francisco is going to win the division, I think it's not that they have to get 12, but I think that like whenever they do, they're trying to go for number 1. They're not trying to be like one of these bottom feeder divisions like the NFC South. The Niners are a tough team as it is. They still got Christian McCaffrey. They still do have Deebo Samuel and George Kittle. I think Brandon Ayuk, good. I like him. He's good, but good riddance.
I think he's overrated too.
You want to throw a hissy fit like Deebo? Okay, well, you know what? We've had enough of that. There's a lot of teams lately, especially like with the Bills and Stephon Diggs. I hate to like circle that back in, but you just get enough of them crying and complaining and, just fucking bullshit Twitter. Okay, you know what? Go do that in Twitter. You're not going to do it for this organization. You want to be a distraction? Go do it somewhere else. So I don't mind the move that they're going to get rid of Brandon Ayuk. I really don't.
I honestly don't think they need him. I don't think they need him in that offense.
No,
they'll find some rando to do exactly what he's doing.
Well, 100%. Game that they're running with Deebo, McCaffrey, they'll be just fine. Brandon Ayuk gave them a little bit of midfield presence, but Brock Purdy's game plan has really kind of been those checkdowns. That's always been their game plan, is those checkdowns. They'll go deep when they need to, and like you guys said, they're going to pull somebody out of they've got somebody already in their roster that'll take that spot easily.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, my over total, I think it's San Francisco. Like, that's my only way I can play them. I'm okay with the Rams over. My concern is if Stafford gets hurt, Jimmy G takes over. If he has to take the reins permanently, I don't know if he's the guy that I really want. It was kind of like when I saw Carson Wentz. I thought Carson Wentz was a good pickup, and then he kind of reminds you of like when you see him play. That's why you're not a starter.
They'll just lean on Kyron. In that situation, they'll lean on Kyron, who he carried when that offense sputtered last year. They did the same thing, and Kyron kind of.
Yeah, I mean it's. like I like the Rams over. I just think for San Francisco, they're gonna have to defend being the number one team, and I think for them to do that, I think for them to be able to do that, and the schedule, I think, if I'm not mistaken, it is slightly easier than it was last year for them. I could double check. So that's why Seattle and Arizona. I have a bold prediction on Arizona. I want to talk about unders though. Mansmann, what's your underplay? If you didn't say it already,
who do you think it is?
It's going to be Kyler Murray in Arizona.
I mean, they won what, 4 games last year?
No, I think it was 5. But
5. Why do we expect this team to win 8 games? Kyler Murray sucks. How long is it going to take for people to realize that this guy is a bum? He's a bum. He needs to play.
You're right.
Call of Duty, or okay. They're gonna increase their win total by 4. Remember last year when everyone was like, "Oh, Kyler Murray's coming back. Arizona's going to be a lot better." What did I say then? I was like, Kyler Murray sucks. It's the same thing. They should not be. I need them to win less than 8 games. That to me is a no-brainer. I think the odds are in my favor. They're like minus 144 at under 7.5. This is easy. Kyler Murray sucks. He's shit. They need a change. They need to get rid of his bum ass. Except they can't because they gave him all that money. One of the worst contracts in NFL history. Could have told you that wasn't going to work out. Arizona sucks. They're not winning.
Pull the Trump. One of the worst contracts in NFL history.
Oh, by the way, San Francisco over 11.5 plus 100. So that was.
It was a huge disappointment. Huge.
Tell you what, Mansmann, or you know what, Vatrelle, go ahead and go. I'm a defer to you. What's win totals? What's your play here?
Yeah, I'm taking the Arizona line as well. That 8 wins is just not possible. Kyler is fraud. He hasn't shown anything over his last 3-4 years that he could actually be an NFL quarterback. They keep trying to bring him help. They brought Hollywood Brown there, and realistically, nothing has changed.
Okay, Hollywood Brown though, like I think we learned he's not that good either.
How do we know he doesn't have a quarterback?
I was going to say, first off, he had 98 receptions and 1,000.
Wait, hang on. Is Lamar Jackson a quarterback?
Hold on, rewind.
Is Lamar Jackson a quarterback?
Lamar Jackson is a better quarterback than Kyler Murray, and you can't say that.
I agree with that.
Sure,
you cannot say. And Hollywood Brown had 98 receptions for 1,000 yards. You're telling me Kyler couldn't even get him there? Kyler, he's not an NFL quarterback. I'm sorry. He's Pop Warner. He is a Pop Warner quarterback.
He's Pop Warner.
He has not transitioned to the end. And, you know, we've all heard the arguments with him. He doesn't study. He doesn't do his homework. He prefers to play his game. Okay, that's great. You don't belong running. And we gave you all this money. You don't belong running an NFL franchise as a quarterback. You're not my franchise quarterback.
Kyler Murray took the bus to get to Arizona.
Yeah. He's still living off that one goddamn heave against the Bills fucking 4 years ago. Other than that, that's his career. One heave. That's his career. Other than that, he's been shit.
Everybody remembers him as the toddler guy, the guy that runs. The toddler runs on the field before he throws the ball and shimmy to the left, run to the right. Yeah.
I actually have so I don't have an underplay though, but I have a very bold play. I'm going to run it by you, but it does require me to pull up the Cardinals 2024 schedule. This is a very, very bold play. No easy way to say it. Cardinals to be the last remaining team to win a game. Plus 1,400 right now.
Oh, I remember that. We talked about that one.
We did talk about it. I'm going to run through Vatrelle and Jason. I'm going to run through the first 8 games. I want you to tell me how many wins you think you can count. They travel to Buffalo week 1. Then they come home and host the Rams. Then they host Detroit. They then host the Washington Commanders, which I know you're thinking to yourself, this might be your one. Jason, how many home wins does the Arizona Cardinals have?
Yeah, they're terrible at home.
In the last 2 seasons.
What, like one?
One.
I think one. against Dak Prescott and the Cowboys.
And that was Joshua Dobbs. That was not Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it gets worse because then they travel to San Francisco. They travel to Lambeau Field at Green Bay. They then host the LA Chargers with Justin Herbert. And then they go to Miami. But wait, it gets worse because you keep going through the schedule. Let's play the what ifs. What if we're wrong about Caleb Williams and he's good? Well, they have to host him at home in early November. They then host Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. They then have to go to Seattle. Minnesota is probably where if they get a win, they get one. They host Seattle again. Then they have to host New England. They might get the win there. Carolina, so they're on the road going west to east. Then they come back and play the LA Rams, so they're going from east to west. And then they end the season against San Francisco. I have a bold prediction. This could be the worst team this year. I think they are going to have the worst record in the NFL. This Cardinals team is doomed to fail. Kyler Murray removed and all. This is bad. This might be the hardest schedule I think they could have got.
If the Bills lose to the Cardinals week 1, I am literally like working from home Monday. I'm not even going to try.
Bro, just call out. Don't even try to work from home. Just call out.
I actually might take that. I might take that line after hearing you call those teams out. They may not win till week 12.
Now, and when I discussed it with Mansmann, the Washington line early, like I think it's week 6.
That's the one. That's the one.
That's the one.
I think that could.
But they haven't won. They've won one home game. Like, Could Kyler Murray win a home game? Let's start with that. Like before.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope that he's still playing by then. He could easily get benched, get another injury. They can't. Let's just be honest. Arizona can't have another season like that. Like their last 3, they can't. Kyle,
No.
if they start off, you said they play the Commanders week 6. If they start off 0-5, there's somebody's on the hot seat.
I mean, if you think about it, they're going to be an underdogs in every game. Significant. They're probably going to be at least a touchdown underdog to the Bills, probably closer to 10. Rams, they're going to be a 7-point underdog at home. Anything less than that, you literally bet your mortgage on the Rams. They're probably going to be a 10-point dog to the Lions. Anything less than a touchdown is another
13.
mortgage bet.
I'd say 13.
You think that much? On the road, though?
Yeah.
And then Washington, I mean, that might be a pick'em game. Maybe they'll be a point favorite, although if Washington's won a game, they'll probably be an underdog in that game, too.
Yeah, this is... I'm not talking about spreads, but I mean, in terms of future betting, like, this is like you hammer Arizona under. You hammer, like, forget missed playoffs. Hammer the under there. Hammer last team to win a game. Hammer worst record in the league. And just, like, domino and tally those fucking bets.
I will say, sometimes using the spreads, though, can give you an idea in terms of, like, looking at it. They are going to be... There's a good chance they could be underdogs in their first 7-8 games. So...
Oh, I think they're going to be underdogs all year.
And yet they have them at an 8-win line. I mean, they have them at an 8-win line.
Yeah, maybe New England. Maybe New England is where they get a favorite odds. But exactly like you said, yet they're an 8-win team.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be favored in maybe 4 of their games. Like, maybe.
Oh, no, I count 3.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer.
I mean, Vatrelle, you're a commissioner. You're more of the fantasy aspect. I mean, in terms of Kyler Murray, this Arizona Cardinals team, I know you briefly touched Marvin Harrison, but, like, this just seems so pessimistic. Like, what do we do? Where do we go with this? Like, in terms of fantasy and playoff.
So, just in terms of fantasy, Marvin Harrison, such a great talent, is about to go to waste because Kyler's not a quarterback. I said it early. Kyler's not a quarterback. In terms of futures, I agree. As a matter of fact, Steve, when we're done here, send those lines over so I know which ones to play.
I got you. I'll send them over to you. Now, make playoffs with the other teams, miss playoffs. Jason, I have one more play. I don't know if you have anything, but I'll defer to you.
You go first. I want to see what the odds are for the make playoffs before I make my decision.
I'll run it through. You make playoffs, San Francisco minus 480, Rams plus 108, Seattle plus 184, Arizona plus 310. So win
Wait,
totals.
wait. So the
Go ahead.
Rams are plus money to make the playoffs?
Correct.
Rams plus 108, best bet of the division. That's a no-brainer. The
Yeah.
Rams are, I'd take them over Chicago, Green Bay, Atlanta, Tampa, who in the East, well, no, not the East. I think they're very easily
Washington, New York Giants, Dallas.
I think very easily 5 to 6 seed, easy.
Yeah,
the Rams.
That's my best make playoffs bets. LA Rams plus 108 to make the playoffs. Because I'm not only getting better odds at that for them. I think if they get 9 wins, they are a team that's going to be the shoe-in to make the playoffs. Even if they go 9-8, they're going to be like the number 5 9-8 team that gets in. Because they could beat those fucking mid-tier teams. They could beat a Chicago and Caleb Williams. They could beat Jordan Love. They could beat, I think, anybody in the NFC South, including Kirk Cousins and the Falcons. There's a lot of teams I think that the Rams could stack up against, considering everybody's healthy.
Yeah.
You know, are they good enough to beat San Francisco? Not yet. But I think once they find the problem with the Rams, I can foresee is that they're very close to rebuild mode. They're gonna have
their quarterback. They got some good young pieces, but the quarterback is not getting any younger.
And is the Rams defense going to keep up now that Aaron Donald's no longer a threat? That's the concern. But yeah, Rams to make the playoffs there. I threw a sprinkle on Seattle to miss, but I'm wondering if that is. I don't know if that one's guaranteed as a lock. The problem I have is Geno Smith. He took a step back last year. If he takes another step back, that's just.
Yeah. And no more Pete Carroll.
Yeah, and it's minus 230. It's a whole new team.
There's a lot.
So
of
I sprinkled on it
Seattle.
just to get myself some cushion, but like not my best play.
Yeah.
All right. Whew. All right, we are about an hour 40 in. We went through all fucking 4 divisions. We picked all 4 division winners. We even fought a little bit, but we got it through. We didn't kill each other yet. Pretty much on the same page.
That player prop episode, I think we're going to.
Oh, the player props is going to be excited. So tune in for that. We will schedule that, put out an announcement on our Twitter at DGens Podcast. We'll make sure to profile that. Vatrelle, one more time, give us a quick intro. Tell us about your new podcast so we can give the folks plug in your socials and all that stuff too.
Like I said, ladies and gents, it'll be Fantasy's 10 and 10, going over the hottest plays of the week, starting preseason week 1, and the biggest impacts that it'll have to your fantasy teams. We're going to get it covered in 10 minutes. Listen to it on your way into work. Listen to it when you're in the bathroom jacking off because you just lost a game and you need some relief. Check us out. We'll have the social medias posted.
Hell yeah. All right, Mansmann, any final thoughts, any other bold predictions before we go?
No, it was a great episode. Vatrelle, pleasure to have you on. Definitely looking forward to the player props episode, and certainly, every once in a while during the actual season, feel free to jump on in.
Yeah, man, definitely. Thank you for joining. Thank you for giving us your insights for fantasy players. We're looking forward to the player props episode. That'll be more your area of expertise. We'll get more content from you, maybe even a little sneak peek into your future episodes. So after this, hopefully the Distinguished DGens could pop in for one of yours as well. We'll return the favor.
I am looking forward to having you guys on. This was a great. Thank you for the invite. This was great. I can't wait for the player props. I'm telling you, I'm gonna have a field day with that one. So,
100%
to come out.
All right.
Don't worry. You got 2 guys with 4 rings total to help you. So.
Jason, we'll have to wear the rings for the next episode.
Yeah,
all right.
maybe.
Just
With
wait
that
till you see
said-
the trophy this year.
Oh man, that's right. I forgot. We had
My name should have been on that. But
Your name is on there. Yes.
look,
There we go. One day, I'm gonna get there. One day.
Anyway.
That's okay. My commissioner with the player props traded me Patrick Mahomes for Anthony Richardson in a first, but
And walked out with Lamar Jackson and Isaiah Pacheco.
okay.
Wow, you're happy with that trade, Steve? Wow.
I am. Yeah, I mean,
Okay. Think the tides are changing. I think
ooh,
the tides are changing.
we'll see. We'll see. I beat you in Mansmann versus Beta 3, but that's okay. All right, we'll end the episode. I'm Steve Big Bucks Beta.
Money Mansmann.
And as always, our special
Vatrelle.
guest, Vatrelle. Thank you, boys. Signing off. Have a good night.
See ya.
And as always,
Go win that motherfucking money.